Hey everyone, it's Sage, the Dungeon Lord, and I'm so excited to have you here today for my special Mother's Day video on the Fighter Class. But Sage, what does the Fighter Class have to do with mothers? Glad you asked. If your mother was anything like my mother, she let you know constantly that she brought you into this world, and she can take you out of it at any time. Anytime. Sounds like something a fighter would say. So, let's get into the Fighter Class. For actually all of my class videos, I'm going to do just the bare bones of what the class gives you. I'm not going to cover any archetypes. I'm going to do those on a separate video that I will then put in nice, neat little playlists for your viewing pleasure. So, what do we get for being a fighter? Well, starting at first level, we're going to get 1d10 as our starting hit points, plus your Constitution modifier, and that's really good. The only other class that does better than that is the Barbarian with a d12. They start with 2 more hit points. Yeah, level 1, that's kind of significant, but most other classes don't have a 10, so that's pretty cool. For proficiencies, you're proficient in all armor and shields, so you're probably going to start out with some heavy armor, get some plate armor fast as you can, unless you're going for a dex build. And I'll talk about that probably a bit later unless I forget. Weapons. Now the way 5th edition explains it is it says, usually you're proficient in simple weapons, and then either or simple weapons and martial weapons. If you're proficient in simple weapons and martial weapons, you're proficient in all weapons. The fighter's proficient in all weapons. Currently. Who knows, maybe down the road, a source book will come out with exotic weapon proficiencies, kind of like 3.5 had. We don't know. But currently, simple weapons and martial weapons, you got all the weapons. Saving throws. You are proficient in strength and constitution. Pretty cool. I find it really thematic to have a character who's proficient in constitution saves. Because that's stuff like, does the poison make you sick? Does the alcohol make you vomit? You get punched in the gut. Can you still breathe? Makes for like a really tough character to be proficient in Constitution. And you get to choose 2 skills between acrobatics, animal handling, athletics, history, insight, intimidation, perception, or survival. Or survival. Anyway, you get 2. Starting equipment. So you can either choose to have your starting equipment or randomly roll for gold and then buy your equipment. I've never done that. Sounds like fun. But just getting the starting equipment from the get-go, you get a lot of stuff, so I don't see the point of needing to roll for the gold. So you start with either chainmail or leather armor, a longbow, and 20 arrows. So starting as a fighter, no matter what, you have ranged attack, you have a longbow. A lot of people forget that and think like, oh, I have a longsword. I'm just going to run in and attack all the time. You can, but you don't have to. You do have a ranged option. Now, you also get a martial weapon and a shield combo, or 2 martial weapons, which you'd probably do if you're going to go with the dual wielding, which we'll talk about next level. Alright, you get a light crossbow and 20 bolts, or 2 hand axes. Now, you already got a longbow, so I don't know why you'd also want a light crossbow, but maybe you just like light crossbows. Who knows? And you get to choose between a Dungeoneer's pack or an Explorer's pack. The packs, they have slight variances. Some things have pretty cool stuff, like the Dungeoneer's pack has a hammer and pittance. And I know my first game, I was like, DM, what is a piton? What would I ever use this for? And he explained it like it's a little railroad spike. And I was like, cool, that sounds useless. But he was like, yes, unless you're in a dungeon and you need to take a rest, and there's a door that opens inward. Then you take that piton down, hammer it into the ground. Now things can't get in the room and you get to sleep. And I was like, alright, that's pretty useful. Anyway, that's a side tangent. Moving on. What do you get at level 1? Level 1, you get to choose a fighting style. And this is going to help determine kind of what sort of fighter you're going to be. You get to choose either archery, defense, dueling, great weapon fighting, protection, or 2-weapon fighting. Alright, so here's what they do. Archery. You get a +2 bonus 2 attack rolls with a ranged weapon. That's pretty sick for level 1. A +2 bonus isn't quite as good as having 4 more points in dexterity, but that's how much more to your attack bonus you would get for having 4 points more in dexterity. So that's pretty cool. That's like... so let's say you're doing really well, and you have a 16 in a stat at level 1. We'll say dexterity, right? Because you're using, we'll say probably, your longbow. So you have a 16. That gives you a +3. Your proficiency at level 1's 2, so now you have a +5 to hit, which is pretty great for level 1. But now if you take archery, you have a +7! A +7 to hit! That's pretty redonk. Alright, moving on. Defense. While you're wearing armor, you gain a +1 bonus to AC. Doesn't sound that special, but, you know, let's say you get a little bit into your game, and you get some plate armor, which has an AC of 18, and you have a shield, which is AC +2. That's an AC of 20. And now if you have defense, you're sitting an AC of 21 early in the game. That's going to make you really, really hard to hit. That means something that has a +6 to attack you is going to hit 50% of the time. It's a 50-50 chance. That's pretty great. Did I do the math on that right? I don't know. I'm sure you'll let me know in the comments. Alright. Next one is dueling. Now this one's pretty sweet. When you are wielding a melee weapon in one hand and no other weapons, not holding a weapon, you get a +2 bonus to damage rolls with the weapon. So not to try and hit them, but when you're calculating your damage. So again, let's talk about strength this time. Let's say you have a strength of 16, so you have a +3. You'll roll to hit, and if you successfully attack, you're going to roll your damage, which is a longsword is a d8, right? So you roll your d8, and instead of adding 3, we're going to add 5. That is a huge boost to your average damage output. And now, getting to what I was saying, no other weapons. You can have a shield in your other hand. So you can still have that great armor class and dish out some sick damage. Pretty rad. Kind of what fighters do best is live and kill. Right? Okay, great weapon fighting. Alright, this one's a little bit long. When you roll a 1 or a 2 on a damage die for an attack made with a melee weapon that you are wielding with 2 hands, you can re-roll the die, but must take the new roll, even if it's a 1 or a 2. The weapon must have the 2-handed or versatile property for you to get this benefit. So what's that mean? Great sword, right? If you roll a 1 or a 2, you get to re-roll it. Now that has a D6, right? You get 2d6 for great sword. So if one's a 1, one's a 2, you just re-roll them. If one's a 6 and one's a 1, you re-roll the 1. That's pretty cool. Now, what it means by versatile is if you have a longsword, which is a 1d8, you can just pop your other hand up onto that, go ahead and swing, and now it's a d10. And if you get a 1 or a 2, you re-roll it. That's pretty cool. Helps you get more consistent damage. You know, because nobody wants to roll in with a big old greatsword, try and do a mighty attack, and you do like 3 damage. But then the halfling with a dagger next to you comes up, hits, and does like, oh man, what could they get with a dagger? So it's what, a d6, and then maybe add 3 if they have a 16 dex or something. So they're doing 9 damage, and you're just like, oh, yes, I am useful. Avoid that. Great weapon fighting. Okay, protection. When a creature you can see attacks a target other than you within 5 feet of you, you can use your reaction, which is pretty cool, to impose disadvantage on that attack roll, and you must be wielding a shield to do this. So that's cool because there's not a lot of stuff to eat up your reaction. So more opportunities to use it makes better utilization of your action economy. Now, I've heard some people say it's really situational, because how often are you within 5 feet of an enemy and a friendly unit, right? But if you're playing with a battle map and you're doing really kind of wargamey, that could be a really sweet way to help your friends out. Or if you're doing theater of the mind, that could make for some really cool moments where someone's like the goblin lunges in and goes to jab its spear into your friend's gut, and then you're like, not on my watch, I'm going to use my reaction to help my buddy. And then let's say they roll like a 19 and they roll a 1. Well, that goblin was going to beeline it for their gut, but because you stuck your shield out, you just saved your friend from taking a nasty blow to the gut. That's a cool thing a fighter would do. Okay, now, 2-weapon fighting. Love 2-weapon fighting. When you engage in 2-weapon fighting, you can add your ability modifier to the damage of the second attack. So what's that mean? What that means is you don't need to be a fighter to dual wield. Anyone can dual wield, it's fine. But when you normally dual wield without any like fighter levels in it, without 2-weapon fighting, what you would do is you'd roll to see if you attack on your main hand. If you do, you hit, and then you add your bonus damage from your stat modifier, either strength or dex. Then you get your offhand, which will use your bonus action. You swing to hit, you add your proficiency just like normal, but if you hit, that's it. You don't add your ability modifier again. However, if you have 2-weapon fighting, you add that ability. So let's say, again, you have a 16 in whatever stat you're using for that. So your first attack hits, boom, add 3 damage after the dice. Your second attack will say it hits, boom, you add 3 damage after the dice. That's a total of plus 6 damage for that round. That's pretty great. Alright, that was all in level 1. Fighters get a lot of stuff at level 1. It's pretty cool. Actually, that's not even the end of level 1. Our new level 1 continued. You also get second wind. This is pretty cool. Alright, you have a limited well of stamina that you can draw on to protect yourself from harm. On your turn, you can use a bonus action to regain hit points equal to 1d10 plus your fighter level. Which is okay. You can tell right away that's not going to scale well, right? Because the dice doesn't go up, just the plus. But here's the thing. Once you use this feature, you must finish a short rest or a long rest before you can use it again. I understand why 5e words things short or long rest. It's because they're very like to the letter when they word things. Basically, anytime you hear short or long rest, forget about the long part. Anytime you rest, you're getting that back. So, every time you rest, you can just be like, d10 plus level. Oh, I got hurt? D10 plus level. Oh, we're gonna rest? I mean, I could use my hit dice to restore my health, or second wind, d10 plus level. Okay, now let's see if I need to use my dice, right? So that actually ends up being really cool, and is really thematic for what the fighter does, which I'm going to talk about at the end of the video. And what I mean by does is like, in general, like, how do they play? What makes them different from the other classes, right? And the fighter does something I think people overlook a lot. It doesn't get talked about a lot, but I will at the end of the video, I promise. Alright, level 2. Now, if you're ever going to multi-class into fighter, it's really hard to do just one level, because you get action surge at 2. This is really powerful for a second level ability. Starting at second level, you can push yourself beyond your normal limits for a moment. If we're going anime style, it's kind of like Goku's Kaioken ability. I know it's a little bit dated, but it's cool stuff. Okay, on your turn, you can make one additional action. Important action. Once you use this feature, you must finish a short or long rest before you can use it again. Okay, now, that additional action also opens up a bonus action, if I'm not mistaken. I might have to go back and reread that, but I'm pretty sure. Okay, now what that means is you can use your action to attack a creature. Bap! Hit it on the head with your sword. Let's say maybe you're dual-wielding, right? Okay. Oh, you know, that's a bad example. No, it's not, because this doesn't eat your bonus action. So, you use your bonus action, whap! Hit with your offhand. Now, action surge, you get action and bonus action again. So, whap, whap! You just made 4 attacks at level 2. I'm really going to have to look back to see if it gives you your bonus action as well. Pretty sure it does. I might have to redo this video. Alright, moving on. Level 3. Okay, level 3 is where you get your martial archetype, which is kind of like, what sort of a fighter are you, right? Are you a battle master? Are you an eldritch knight? Are you... I don't even remember what the other one was. Oh, champion. And there's lots of other ones. Are you a arcane archer? Are you a samurai? Are you a cavalier? I'm going to talk about all that stuff in other videos. We're just focused on what do you get just for being a fighter. So moving on. Level 4. You get ability score improvement. So, I could read what it says word for word. I'm just going to give you the easy version. You get 3 options whenever you see ability score improvement. First option. Take 2 of your stats, increase them 1 point. So my strength goes from a 15 to a 16. And my con goes from 13 to 14. That's it, 2 stats. Option number 2. You pick 1 stat to level up twice. So going back to the example I keep using, let's say we started at level 1 with a 16 to our strength. So we have a plus 3. So I'm going to use my ability score improvement to jump that up to 15. No, I'm sorry, I just went backwards. Okay, 17. It's still only a plus 3. Boom, but I'm pumping 2 stats in it. So now it goes up to 18. Now it's a plus 4. I am 1 better at trying to hit things, and 1 better at doing damage to them. And also 1 better at your saving throw, because it's strength. But it doesn't have to be strength. It can be any stat you choose. Okay, those are the first 2 options. Third option is if your DM is running the optional rules feats. And I've never seen anyone not use feats, but, I mean, I suppose somebody could choose not to. You can choose a feat, which is pretty cool. Now, a cool thing about Fighter, they get a lot of ability score improvements, a lot more than the other classes. The only other one that comes close is Rogue, which means you could just grab feat after feat after feat and have a very just zany personalized character that can do a lot of niche things. Or you can pump up your stats and just be godly with your stats and have a very powerful character, which is also cool. Alright, level 5. Beginning at 5th level, you can attack twice instead of once whenever you take the attack action on your turn. Pretty cool. You have a long sword. Instead of swing, when you attack, you go swing, swing. Double your chances of hitting, double your potential output for damage. Now, how this works with dual wielding is you don't get 4 attacks. You get 3, because your offhand, you use a bonus action. That's not your attack action. So, attack, 1, extra attack, and then bonus action, offhand, right? And thematically, you can say whatever, 1, 2, 3, however you want to combo it, but 2 attacks, 1 bonus action attack. Total of 3. But that's every turn. That's pretty rad. Alright, moving on. Level 6. You get another ability score improvement. Why is this cool? Because the other classes have to wait until level 8. And bam, you're just getting another one right at 6. Level 7. Martial archetype feature. So again, that's your battle master, your eldritch knight, your champion, etc. You're going to get something from that at level 7. Level 8. Another ability score improvement! Okay, at this point, if you've all been doing stats, you've gone up 6 points. That's crazy. That means if you started with a 16 strength, you've already bumped it up to 20 and have another 2 points just to throw somewhere else. Probably Constitution, I don't know. But that's rad. Or maybe you started like a 16 strength and a 14 Constitution, and you've ignored strength. Boom, now your Constitution's at 20, and you have a ton of hit points. I don't know, you can be whatever kind of fighter you want to be, but that's pretty sick. Oh man, let's do the math on Dex. Okay, let's say you did Dex, and you took the archery fighting style. Okay, alright, we're level 8. So, plus 5, because we've got our dex up to 20. I think proficiency is +3 at level 8. I could be wrong, but I know it went up to 3 at level 5. I probably should have put that on there. But you get that for character, not for class. Okay, anyway, 3. So that's now a +8. Archery +2. You have a +10 to shoot people. A +10! That's really crazy. That's great. Okay, moving on. Level 9. Indomitable. Now, people give this one a lot of flack. They're like, it's not really powerful for level 9, or, well, that's sort of lame. And at first, when I read this, I was like, I don't want that. Just, as a fighter, everything else is great, but I don't want this. But it ties into what the fighter does. Which actually, after reading it, I think I'm just going to jump into that right now. Okay, Indomitable. Beginning at 9th level, you can re-roll a saving throw that you fail. If you do so, you must use the new roll. And you can't use this feature again until you finish a long rest. So every long rest you can re-roll one failed save. Now, why is that cool? And why is that specifically cool for a fighter? Because here's what the fighter does. The fighter fights. Which I know, well, duh, what else would they do? But they get in the fight, they stay in the fight, they finish the fight. Fighters, in general, are going to have a really good armor class. They're going to have a high amount of hit points. They're going to dish out damage consistently, round by round by round. You're not expending resources to do damage here as a fighter. And now with Indomitable, you have one more chance per long rest to not fail a saving throw. So why is that tie-in, right? Because saving throws, if it's like a fireball that you're trying to dodge, who cares? It's damage. If it's a mind control spell, well, now we care a lot. Because wisdom and charisma probably not going to be your highest stats. And if you get hit with that, you're out of the fight. Alright? At least for a few rounds. Well, maybe a round or two or a few, right? But that's rounds that you're not contributing, you're not doing damage. And that's not what the fighter is all about. The fighter is about getting in, staying in, doing the job, right? So let's say someone's trying to charm you, right? You're fighting them, you're in the fight, you're dealing damage, you're taking hits, but you don't really care, you're dodging a lot of hits because you have high AC. The wizard goes, hey man, this guy's a problem. I'm going to try and charm him. He won't turn on his guys, but he'll stop trying to kill us, right? That's a win. They go to charm you. You're like, oh no! Oh! Ooh, I don't have good stats. Oh, I failed my roll. Hey, guess what? Indomitable. Boom! I rolled a 19. I succeed. I'm going to stab that wizard in the face. Because that's what fighters do. That's really thematic for fighter. And I'm really glad it's in there, because I would hate to be taken out of the fight willy-nilly if that's all my character does. If my character's good at fighting, I want them fighting. Alright, I've beat that horse to death. Moving on. Level 10, another martial archetype feature. Level 11, extra attack. Again. Alright, so now, using your attack, using your action to do the attack, you're going to get 1, 2, 3 strikes. If you're dual wielding, bonus action, boom, gives you a 4th one. But still only the one for the offhand. But still, 3 to 4 attacks around is great. Especially because there's other classes that get extra attack. But most of them, maybe all of them, I'd have to double check that, don't go past 2 attacks in a turn, unless they're dual wielding. So at this point, you're doing more attacks than any other classes. That's pretty cool. Alright, and that's only level 11. Pretty nice. Okay, level 12, another ability score improvement. Pretty sweet, pretty sweet. At this point, if we started the game with 2 16s, we have 2 20'd stats, which is as high as we can get them. Or you have a ton of feats. And feats are pretty rad. I'm probably going to do a separate video just for feats and not talk about what feats are good for a fighter, because honestly, you can make whatever kind of fighter you want. You could have a I lock you down fighter using Sentinel, where you hit people and their movement's at 0 when they try and move away from you, locking them in place. That's pretty cool. You could do like a Tavern Brawler fighter, where you fight with chairs and beer bottles with proficiency. And, you know, being a fighter, pumping up your stats really high, you could probably make that viable. Alright, moving on. Level 13. Indomitable. 2 uses per long rest. Pretty nice. Level 14. Another ability score improvement. At this point, you are a machine. The Arnold Schwarzenegger of the classes. I hope that's not terribly dated. I don't know. Anyway, Arnold's cool. Watch some Arnold videos. Alright, level 15. Another martial archetype feature. 16. You guessed it. Ability score improvement. You have so many stats, you don't know what to do with them at this point. You could be maxed out on strength, maxed out on con, so you have lots of hit points, you hit things all the time for lots of damage, and maybe you're like, you know what? I'm going to work on dex for the saving throws, and, I don't know, for the initiative boost. Why not? Or, maybe, you're pairing it up with Indomitable, and you're like, I'm going to pump up my wisdom or my charisma, so it's even harder to take me out of the fight now. You do whatever you want. Fun fact, some of the fighter skills you were able to choose at first level tie into intelligence, such as history, charisma, such as persuasion and intimidation. Ooh, I think wisdom. Pretty sure. I think insight was one of the choices. I'd have to go back and look, but that's a wisdom. So, makes your stats better too. That's pretty cool. Alright. Level 18. Another martial archetype feature. We're getting up in the levels now. We have 2 left. What do we get? 19. Another ability score improvement. At this point, you're probably not even doing your stats anymore. You're getting feats. Or if you got feats early, you're finishing out your stats. I have no clue. Or, if you went with a champion archetype, and you just pumped up all stats, no feats, you are just a god among men. That's what you do. No normal, ordinary mortal can fight like you do. That's just how you roll. Alright, level 20. Your capstone ability, which you get for being the best fighter who's ever bested. 1 more attack. Per round. At this point, it feels a little weak, to be honest. But, now you're up to 4 attacks for each action. If you're dual-wielding, that's 5 attacks. I mean, let's be real here. You have a +5 to hit. You're doing a +5 damage. 5, 10, 15, 20. 25 guaranteed damage if you hit, on top of whatever you're rolling for your weapon. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Especially if you action surge. And then wham, 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 wham! You do it all over again for a guaranteed 50 damage a round. That's pretty cool for someone who didn't just cast a spell. Just saying. Alright. Or, thematically, each turn is 6 seconds. So if you're dual-wielding, you did 5 attacks in 6 seconds. Now, if you're a martial artist, you might be like, well, that's not a whole lot. I could do more than that in 6 seconds. You could. But these were 5 attacks that just landed. That's what's up. That's the good stuff. Alright. So, why would you play a fighter? After we've looked at what you get just for picking this class and taking it through 20. Reason 1. You get a high AC from the start of the game. Now, myself, I haven't played a lot of high-level content. I've stayed mostly in the first 2 tiers. Looking in the monster manual, things from the higher tiers tend to have pretty ridiculous chances to hit. So, does your AC matter a lot in the late game? I don't know. I'd think not, but I can't say because I haven't played it. But early in the game, when you're squishy, that's nice. That's really nice. Alright, what else? Reason 2. Reliable hit and damage. Again, you're getting more attacks per turn than any of the other classes. That's more chances to hit. Because nothing sucks more than it being your turn. You roll to see if you hit. You rolled a fat miss, and that was your whole action, and it's all you can do. So you're like, alright, let's see if I hit him, and... Sorry, guys, I didn't do anything this turn. I was totally useless. That's a sucky feeling. So being able, turn after turn after turn, to do something, that's pretty cool. And again, the damage. The damage. Alright. Next, high stats or feats. So at this point, we had 7 ability score improvements, if I'm reading my notes right. Not sure I am. I'm sure I am. That means we went up 14 stats from level 1 to level 20. That's pretty sick. When you started at level 1, one of your better stats was 14. And you just gained 14 throughout the course of your character progression. None of the other classes are going to hit that. That's pretty rad. Another reason, they stay in the fight. They get in the fight, and they fight. It's what they do. So, if that's how you want to play, if you want to... I'm not going to say this with any ill connotations. If you just want to kick down the doors, kill some monsters, take some loot, and you want to be really good at that, hey man, play a fighter. You're going to be able to get in, fight, finish that fight, and you're still alive to collect the loot. That's cool beans. Alright, and a really great reason is it's a solid choice because you can't mess it up. And if you do mess it up, you have so many stat increases, you can just fix it later as you play. So a lot of people recommend Fighter for first-time players. I'm not sure I agree with that. I would say no matter what someone plays for their first time, they're not going to play it well, right? So better that they play something that speaks to them on a personal level, because they're going to feel cool while they do it, right? A fighter who always forgets to have an extra attack is only doing one attack around. A monk that always forgets to use their bonus martial arts attack and use their key points does one attack around. Both characters could be doing better, but why have them play a fighter if they're like, man, I really want to punch and kick stuff? Okay, well, if you're still going to do one thing around, go play a monk. Until, you get used to how the mechanics work, and you get used to playing, and you're actually reading your character sheet, and you're like, oh, hey, actually, I could also do this, right? Let them play what they want to play. But if you want to be a rugged, hardcore, just tough as nails, mama that threatens to bring their kids back from whence they came, play a fighter. Alright, this has been my video. Thank you so much for hanging out and watching, guys. If you liked it, don't forget to like and subscribe to catch more of my videos as they come. Or head over onto Patreon, where you can become I forgot what I called them. Horrible end to my video. Okay, you can become a lordling yourself and get the videos without any ads. Or higher tiers, you can help direct the flow, not the flow, but the direction of my videos. Or on the higher tiers, you can even get to play D&D with me, Sage, the Dungeon Lord. Alright, I look forward to putting out more videos for you guys. I hope this was useful, and I hope you're looking forward to what's coming in the future. Take care. I should have this up so I can end it before I said take care. Okay, really, take care.